we're watching this show, this show, This Is Us or something like that. It's a good show. But this guy, he'd been sober for a year or whatever. And there's this episode and he's like all stressed out and he sees his bottle on the table and he starts drinking it. Then he winds up he starts drinking the bottle and no one in his family knows. They all know that he has an issue with alcohol, blah, blah, blah. Which I would argue isn't even close to the issue that I had with alcohol. He's just not a real character anyway, but now he's fucking drinking while his girlfriend is out of town and like doing all this shit and hiding it from everybody. And I'm like, man, it doesn't even have to be that way. Like literally being allowed to cheat is fucking, it's so
liberating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know like, okay, I feel like shit today, I might lose a day, but I don't fall back into a cycle of bullshit. Whereas like the whole AA model, you're fucking ruined. You know what I mean?
But they make those characters be relatable to the vast.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I get that. But I was just like, it was just kind of a real profound thing. I'm like, damn. Like
you're trying to help the dude that doesn't exist on the show.
Well, no. I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, I'm like way crazier of a freaking alcoholic than he ever could have been. You know what I mean? And I did it so much of an easier way, so much of a less pressure way. AA is like the biggest pressure. You fuck up once, dude, and you're like back to square one. It's stupid. It's a dumb thing.
Well, that was before we kind of started, but I'll probably leave it in there because it somewhat ties into the topic today anyways. And that topic is how to get out of a slump. We have, luckily here today, Alan, who in my opinion, I don't know if you're an expert on this, but I've seen you, I'm not going to say they're necessarily slumps, but I've seen you take on very big projects and fail and continue and fail and continue and fail and continue. I don't personally know, you've never really talked about it, if throughout that process there was any really low points that you just figured a way to overcome. So I was kind of interested to get your perspective on that.
It's funny because when you shot this topic to me yesterday, like literally right now we woke up at 4 a.m. Sunday morning. We're sitting here recording this podcast. I think it's 5:30 a.m. right now, Sunday morning. And yesterday, man, we do this every Sunday. Yesterday, we didn't have it set up what time we were going to start this morning, which is typically around this time, 5 to 6 o'clock. And we didn't have a topic.
No.
Zach sent over, getting out of a slump, which is freaking awesome. It's weird how synergistically this stuff works because I can kind of apply it. I was suggesting that we do the disadvantages of being short and consistently being crop dusted in the face in public. But that one got shut down, and we moved on to something that actually has value.
Ironically, at the time that you sent the text, I was sitting there with Joe. I was actually hanging out with Joe. Joe left, and you're like, "We should get Joe on the podcast." So I was like, oh.
He would appreciate the joke. Anyways.
No, he did.
You told him?
And he's like, "Where did Alan come up with this?" It's like, he just comes up with these things, dude.
But the interesting thing though is, so right now I've been officially unemployed for 3 weeks. And before I was unemployed, I freaking worked my ass off, nosebleed levels, for the company that I was being employed by. And then I would consistently work 20 to 40 hours a week after that 50-hour week job to get momentum in the real estate world. And it's interesting because I created a bunch of momentum. I got several deals going, and it was kind of a weird shock for me because once I became unemployed, I'm like, man, I got all this free time. I don't know what happened in my head, but I slowed down.
Okay. And
because I slowed down, I kind of started feeling depressed. My brain wasn't activated on like the higher levels where I'm like, okay, what can I learn now? What can I do now? What can I do now? What can I grab? What can I do today to consistently make myself proud? And I'm listening to people talk to me about me. Like, oh, dude, you got this. If anybody can do this, you can do this. And it's interesting how everybody, and I keep telling everybody, like, well, yeah, everybody keeps saying that to me, but on the inside, it's a totally different freaking world. It's like, okay, well, I have all this pressure. Now I have 6 months to take what stores of money that I have, be able to completely get out of debt and start building on top of that. And here I feel like I've wasted 3 weeks and my SMS campaigns are slower. Like there's a whole bunch of little things that have happened that have kind of stumped me a little bit. Start making my self-doubt become a little more than it normally is.
Sure. And these people that you believe in you and stuff, I've been there, dude. And then in your head you're like, yeah, they believe in me, but they don't understand all of it. They don't understand the struggles, what I got to go through, what I got to do. They just believe in me, you know.
Yeah.
So that's like a little struggle you have with people who are trying to build you up. You just like bring yourself back down while they're trying to build you up, just because you think they don't understand your perspective or where you're at in life.
Yeah, and the thing is what I kept coming back to is we did a podcast quite a ways back, and it's interesting for me personally, and it's not like a vain thing or a narcissistic thing. Sometimes I'll listen to these podcasts and they actually get me pumped. They actually kind of refocus me a little bit. And it's not just this podcast, but like Gary Vee, Dan Pena. I've been just adding different people into my this guy last week, Brent Daniels at that Phoenix Real Estate Investment Association. He said to always listen to books or read a book that builds you, because it's like a mental plunger. And that was a really interesting way to put it, because it's true. Because you're putting good shit back into your brain and sucking the bad shit out, just by changing what you're doing. Ultimately, or changing what you're thinking and what you're doing. Ultimately, what it comes down to, and it's so damn simple, it's freaking action.
Okay.
Action gets you out of a slump. You can't sit there and go, I hope somebody calls my phone, even though none of my marketing ties to my phone. Anyways, that's a bad analogy, but you can't sit there and just wait for something to happen. It was weird because I was dropping a deuce this morning, watching this little Gary Vee clip, and he's all, nobody's lucky. He's like, you can look at other people and what other people have and see that stuff, and you think, man, that guy's really lucky. Nobody's fucking lucky. Some people work harder than other people. Some people just work their ass off. Watching clips with Dwayne Johnson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Steve Jobs, who else was there? Gary Vee. There was another person on there, and their whole premise was outwork everyone. Your thought process, and this is obviously this is extreme when you're trying to get to the craziest levels you could possibly get to. But you have to have the mindset to get up at 4 a.m. and start knocking everything out that you can, and not sitting there and waiting for anything to happen.
Yeah.
And
so that actually ties into something I wanted to bring up during this whole thing. I've been there, dude, and so if you're getting up at 4, you're going to work out, you're going to do this, but whatever is going on in your life is still, like, you're going to do a workout, you're putting in the work and everything, but you're just not fully there. You know, how do you get out of that point? Because you're getting up to do the work, but while you're doing the work, you're just like sliding back down. Like even the work isn't pushing you through that.
You have to push harder. Pat Bet David, he was saying that on your path to success, whatever level that success you're looking for, maybe what you're referring to is you just need just that next little layer. But let me take it to the higher level. He said that that a rocket trying to get to outer space spends the most energy, exhaustive, massive amount of energy just to break through the atmosphere of the planet Earth. Once it's broken through the atmosphere, it can move around with the power of a baby's breath. And I think he also says that when you are ready to give up on anything that you're doing, success is right around the corner. And he's like, I don't know why it is. It just always seems to be that way. He says, so you have to push. You have to go. And maybe it's just, so with the gym, going to the gym, the outcome for me going to the gym every day, that reward isn't going to come with a $50,000 deal or a $100,000 deal when I push harder next week. That reward is going to become at the final product or as these little steps throughout the way of results, but that final product of what level I can compete at the end of 2020 if I compete at all. That's totally different. It's just I'm putting in the little grind right now at the gym to get to the levels because that's just a slow layer on a layer on a layer on a layer.
That little grind is helping you in the other areas of your life.
It can.
I personally think so.
It can, yeah. It can for sure. The other thing about it is what if I've already ran into this month. What if I'm focusing too much on the workouts? What if I'm focusing too much on the diet and the workouts, which is taking my focus away from making the deal, which is exactly what's happened. And the interesting thing is I've realized all this is happening. I realize I need to put in the more work. I need to focus more work. And me and my wife and I were talking about this last night. She said that she just stopped overthinking everything. She realized she was overthinking the job that she was previously at. She was overthinking our relationship. She was overthinking little things. And what it would do is it'd stir her brain in a circle and give her anxiety about things that she didn't even need to be having anxiety about. Now it's funny because now we have a joke. Oh, you're overthinking it. It's a total joke. It's like, and you're right. I am overthinking it. I am overthinking cold calling. Like I was going to hire somebody else to do cold call all my lists for me until I heard last week at that from that speaker that if I outsource my cold calls to the Philippines or Mexico call centers or whatever, I have a 5% success rate on those. Whereas if I cold call them myself, which I need the experience myself, I have a 50% success rate. Significantly, massively different. One, I'm throwing money out the door and hoping for the best. The other one, I'm actually taking control. So now I have a mechanism in place for $1,000 starting next week that I cold call a minimum of 15 hours a week for the next 5 weeks. That controls my behavior and that forces me to put in that work that has the highest likelihood to have a return on the time invested. And that's another thing too is where do you focus your time? I think what you're talking about too is like you're talking, so I'm in an entrepreneurial level right now. Where other people might just be
day to day, 9 to 5.
What I would say to that is you have to understand that you have to have a goal. You have to have a goal. A lot of people say, yeah, you have to have a goal. You got to write down your goal, whatever, so on and so forth. The interesting thing is when you put a mechanism in place on anything, it's probably the most powerful goal setting and achieving method I've ever seen in my entire life. And not because I wrote a book about it and I'm developing an app about it. It literally makes you, this goal has to fucking be achieved. There's no like, yeah, I want to be this. I want to come up with business ideas. I don't know what your goal is. What do you want to do? Are you just trying to have a better relationship with your spouse? Are you trying to get out of the workforce and create your own business? So let's take those two situations. Well, you could have a goal just if you want to have a better life with your wife or husband or significant other, whatever. Put in there, you have to have a date night. Every Saturday night you have date night, regardless whether it's popcorn and freaking a 6-pack of soda or whatever, or beer, I don't know, whatever you want, or it's $100 at Kabuki, but spend that time with somebody and that'll build your relationship. The entrepreneur thing, so there's a whole lot of facets, a whole lot of small steps to all that, but where you start is finding a vehicle to make money. So what if you had a mechanism in place that said, I have to have 3 business ideas in 1 month, viable business ideas in 1 month, ones that can actually make me money, not just like, oh, I want to blow up balloons at frickin' Macayos for children. No, like, sure, okay, but where's the numbers? Is that actually going to make you money? Is it another job, or is it actually becoming an entrepreneur? The interesting thing is last night I learned about QLA. Have you ever heard of QLA? It's like a thing that Dan Pena does. Quantum leap, yeah, quantum leap advantage.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend yesterday. He just acquired a plumbing company. Him and his friend just acquired one of the busiest plumbing companies in the valley. He didn't tell me what the name was, but he's going through that process. And then later the same day, I hear about quantum leap advantage. When you're looking at finding owners of companies that have no succession plan whatsoever, and they just want to retire, but they can't retire because they're running a freaking company. Find them, then go get money from the bank. If the numbers make sense, the numbers make sense. Purchase their company, have somebody basically in the company itself look at the process. This is literally what the Prophet does. What's that Marcus Lemonis does?
Yeah.
I don't know whose money he uses, but this is literally exactly what he does. It occurred to me, and I'm like, shit, I should start working on this as well.
Oh, we should, for sure. The QLA, though, has the advantage of Dan Pena's money. So they got billions of dollars behind.
Oh, he loans you the money?
Yeah.
I don't even care. What I'm realizing right now is in the real estate world, it's like almost not I don't want to say frowned upon, but the whole game is to use everybody else's money.
Exactly. You don't want to use your money, even on the business side.
And we were even talking about the subject to financing, and you're like saying, well, what if we get our money? We don't have to borrow the money to do this. Well, obviously that's $2,500 back in your pocket because you don't need to pay somebody out on the hard money. But the game is to be able to scale it to a point where you can do 10 or 20 of these without even moving any of your money out of your account. You're only moving money into your account, which is the goal. The my thing here, so there was a guy on that made a comment. I forget his last name. His name is Derek. No, Daryl. And his name's Daryl. He used to work for me at K2 and at AME. And he put a post up. He's like, man, he's getting his ass kicked by life or whatever. So all I did was I just threw up a freaking link to my book. And I was like, this is the shit I wrote the book for. And it's really interesting how you come up with this topic yesterday for us to do it this morning. And my whole week has been living in this freaking topic. And as far as like, so like if I'm sitting here and if Daryl's listening to this podcast, literally what you need to do is you need to figure out what the issue is. Like if you have a toxic behavior that's holding you back, because if you do have a toxic behavior, you're swimming upstream, you need to be swimming with the flow of the water. The only way that you can swim with the flow of the water is by eliminating the toxic behavior. And it's people fool themselves about what their toxic behaviors are, but realistically, right now, my toxic behavior is overthinking shit.
Yeah.
Sitting there and not doing fucking anything but sitting there overthinking it and intimidating myself out of doing things that I know I need to do.
So this topic actually has been on deck. I'm sure you do the same thing I do. I got a couple that I just save, toss them at you, you know. Mm-hmm. So I got a couple on deck all the time for things for us to talk about. I came up with this topic when I started doing jiu-jitsu again, about a week into it. So it's actually funny because I'm in a slump on a good behavior. And I'm in that slump of that good behavior because of another good behavior. So before I started doing jiu-jitsu, I had a routine. I was just doing pull-ups, sit-ups. I was cranking them out, just boom, boom, boom. And then when I started doing jiu-jitsu, which is funny because the pull-ups and sit-ups and everything helped me for jiu-jitsu, but I do jiu-jitsu and I'm like sore, and I get up in the morning and I go to do my pull-ups and I'm like, I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm in a slump in that area because of jiu-jitsu, because one, jiu-jitsu is way more fun, way more entertaining, and then when I get out of jiu-jitsu is like the most effective time, like I'm the most pumped up, I feel like I can get the most accomplished when I get out of jiu-jitsu, which sucks because it's at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I gotta get up and go to work the next day. I need to find a way to take jiu-jitsu and do it in the morning. I need like a rolling partner at like 3 o'clock. But so when I get up 3:30, 4 o'clock or whatever, do my pull-ups, sit-ups, I'm just like, I don't want to do them. Yeah. So I kind of came up with this, like, how do I get out of that slope? I still haven't figured a good way. I'm still trying to do them, but it's just like, I'm just not motivated to do it for whatever reason. I don't know.
I got kind of the same thing going. So I'm even trying to switch my pre-workouts up to add to the motivation. And I've got to a point right now with the way I look with my shirt off right now, I probably look better than I've ever looked in my entire life, like including my 20s. It's cool. It's really cool. And then so I'm in the gym twice a day. So I see the person that's there in the morning at the desk, and then I see the person that's there at night, and never see the same people in the gym twice. Maybe there's I just don't even really pay attention that much.
Tony?
No, he goes to EOS, so he's his whole thing's broken up, and I've been breaking mine up a little bit more too. But at the same time, I don't have the motivation, I feel. So I have to push harder when I go into the gym to work out at the level that I need to work out at to get more and more growth. And you have to focus on whatever. I'm rambling, but to me, it always goes back to take action and do the things that you know you're going to be proud of. So like if you come home, because you got a week right now, right, to have visible abs, right? You got a week left, and see where you land with that, dry out, get a picture, and then we're freaking good, right?
Yeah, I already have visible abs, but it's just that bottom section depends on how you view it.
Depends on how you view it. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do if you're gonna cut water, do the steam room, or I was actually gonna get one of those bags so you can steam yourself.
Yeah.
Put your head. You don't have to breathe the freaking sauna, because I hate breathing sauna.
Do you?
But that's just, it's not a sustainable thing. Anyways, work is the thing. You have to know what your goal is, and you have to put in the work, whether you like it or not. So, and in order to do that, you have to acknowledge what it is that you're going to be proud of at the end of the day. So you're saying jujitsu, and then you come in and you're still bound to having to work out 3 times a week, whatever that capacity is. However, you could consider that the jujitsu training in itself. It doesn't matter. Actually, no, you're not bound to that. Neither one of us are bound to that right now.
No, we're not actually, but we still do it.
Yeah, but so my thing was I was going to restart all that stuff back up September 1st. I've had a couple ice cream sandwiches, pretty awesome.
Nice.
I ate a Taco Bell taco last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
How was that?
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's nothing special. None of it is.
No,
but
it's weird how we used to rely on those things.
Yeah, but so back to the thing. So if you do what you know you're going to be proud of, that gives you momentum for the next stage. So like come Monday morning, and I have to be in the studio finishing narrating the book on Monday morning, but I also have to somehow, some way squeeze 3 hours of cold calling in tomorrow. I have the dialers already set up. I already know how to work all that stuff. I've already went through it, already ran through it. And I know that if I cold call for 3 hours, whether I get a deal from that or not, I'm going to be proud of myself after the fact. And I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to freaking cold call.
Yeah.
Literally calling numbers, asking people if they want to sell their house to me. And people do it all the time. And I just need to get comfortable doing it. It is what it is. It's just work. It's effort.
It's an art, dude.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that. But like if you're talking about not necessarily you, but other people having a slump right now where maybe they're having issues with their relationship, maybe they're having issues getting a job that they want. Well, let's take that down to the granular level. What is it that you're doing that's toxic to you? Or what is it that you're not doing that's toxic to you? Define that. What is that one thing that you're doing? And I'm not trying to talk crap about people that smoke, but when you smoke, how many hours a day do you sacrifice to a cigarette?
Oh, a ton.
As I cough, but I got a cold. What is the toxic behavior that you need to get rid of?
Mm-hmm.
And like even right now, I'm not ashamed of shit. I'm an open book. My wife found out that I was watching porn. I think most guys watch porn, whatever, judge me all you want, I don't give a fuck. And it just bothers her. And I didn't think about it that way because I don't think about it that way. And like if she was watching porn, I wouldn't care. But obviously she thinks about it a little bit differently. This was a hard one because I was trying to figure out how to put a mechanism on it because it's super, super hard because you can't have a counterpart that keeps you accountable. It's harder to have a counterpart to keep you accountable on that, to prove that you're not watching porn. And it was funny because I kept thinking about it, but the interesting thing is our intimate life has gotten a lot better because of this, because we just communicated on it. I'm like, well, okay, now you're taking this one part away from me, and I need to be compensated over here somehow. You know what I mean? If you're what I'm alluding to, and it's worked out really well. But then I was thinking about it. I'm like, and I found this thing. Crap. What was it? What's it called? It'll come to me. But it's like a porn blocker. And I just installed the app on my phone. She set the PIN number. She didn't even know what she was setting the PIN number for. I was like, here, punch in a 4-number PIN, and don't tell me what it is. And now my phone won't pull up anything remotely close to porn. And it's interesting because damn, dude, it's that easy to control myself, to change a behavior. And literally I think that our life is strictly based on controlling ourselves, controlling our behaviors, because that's what your outcome is. And if you have outcomes that make you ashamed of yourself, you're going to continue to go down, right? But if you have outcomes that make you proud, you're going to continue to go up, and you're going to want the next step. And it's exciting when you start putting in the work and you start seeing results. It is. But then at the same time, you always consistently have to have a next layer. Like even if you were to do something say you eat terrible right now, you eat nothing but trash. You eat out all the time. You have no idea what you have no idea what the macros or the micros are of anything that you eat, period, because you don't want to, and you have your head in the sand, and you're just going to continue eating your, I don't even know what a McDonald's hamburger is made out of. I think it's like,
soy.
I was going to say cardboard. And,
It's cardboard and soy.
Yeah, and those styrofoam peanuts or whatever for packing that they have at UPI. I think that they mix that together.
And the spray, popcorn and stuff.
Yeah, and plastic too. There's got to be like some petroleum products in there too, because it lasts for a long time. It's really
and nicotine.
Yeah, I'm sure. And
a mixture of all that stuff right there.
It's like not food, but the thing is if you need to stop eating like trash, that's could be a huge one. That could be a huge daunting one. Okay, so let's say you were all about using mechanisms to do stuff, and you were to say, okay, I'm no longer going to eat this. The simple way to do it was no sugar, no processed fast food. So we're totally speaking from experience right here. Yeah, we've done this. We've already done this, and it's not hard to do.
It was actually so. At first, when we did this, you're like, no processed fast food or whatever. So I cut out everything, and like 2 days later or whatever, you're like, yeah, this is easy. I went to Filiberto's, got a burrito. I was like, we can do that, dude? Like, it's like, jeez, this is easier than I thought it was gonna be.
The thing that was cool, the thing that's cool about the alcohol too, the cheats on the alcohol, is you have 3 24-hour periods to drink.
Yeah.
Which means you can start drinking at 6 p.m., drink, hang out with your friends, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and start drinking your fucking face off until 6 p.m. that day.
If that's what you want to do.
If that's what you want to do. And it's anyways, there's a lot of leniency in this.
Sure.
And there's a lot of lessons to be learned in it at the same time. But let's take this. So, okay, we're at no processed fast food and no sugar, which was a daunting one right out the gate. Like, holy shit, this is fucking, for me, it'd be tough. Other people,
it's tough for me too.
Other people, it might even be more tough. Like Julian, dude, that motherfucker, he likes eats cookies and fucking cupcakes and shit in the shitter. Hi, some people. I'm just like,
we love you, Julian.
But anyways, it might be a harder thing for him to do. He hasn't even put the mechanism in place. Okay, but let's say he does. Let's say he does put the mechanism in place, and now all of a sudden he's realized that it's super easy to control those bad eating habits that he's been fucking him-hawing about for a long ass time. Because it truly is. It's truly way easier than you ever could give this thing credit for until you do it. Then you're like, holy shit, this is just automatic. Anyways. So now you have that goal in place, you've achieved the goal, and you're 6 months into it, and it's effortless. So like you went like this, oh my gosh, I'm awesome, I don't eat sugar, I don't eat processed fast food, you tell everybody about it, like holy shit, and you're like fucking up here, and then your achievement level plateaus.
Yeah.
And you go like this, and it's just automatic, you've been doing it for a long time, and then all of a sudden, you still have the achievement, but you kind of start fading down on your perception of yourself because I think by default, as human beings, we have to have another layer. I think we have to have another. You have to. It's like an insulin spike from sugar. Like you eat sugar and your insulin, your blood sugar levels shoot up, and you get a lot of energy, and then you come back down. I think everything that we do has the potential to be like that. No matter what your achievement is, no matter what your accomplishment is. I'm 6'4", and when I started in February, I weighed 190 pounds, and I had a lot of fat on my body. Not a lot, but for me, I had a lot of fat on my body. A beer gut for sure. Weak core. Now I weigh 210. Solid. Wake up at 210. And I'm like in that. Well, I'm about 208 to 212 range. My fluctuation during the day, and I am strong as fuck. I look good in my opinion, and I'm plateauing. Like mentally plateauing, not necessarily physically in strength plateauing, or effort plateauing. I'm like thinking, what do I do this next?
Sure.
I need something else. I need another thing that I'm proud of, another small layer that I'm proud of. It's you. That's the way you create momentum.
See, I'm debating about. I'm constantly going back and forth right now between cutting even more weight or putting on mass.
And that was my difficulty too as well.
When we started this, I was at 230. I'm now sitting at right around 170, depending on when I weigh myself, 170, 175. That's 50 pounds. And
that is. Yeah, you were fat ass, dude. I remember making fun of you at the beginning of the year.
Pretty crazy.
Because you took an office job, not moving around, and you start packing
That
weight
killed
on
me. And then they bring in donuts, burritos, pizza, everything. And who doesn't love free food? Yeah. Who doesn't love
But
free
the interesting
anything?
thing about it is too, I was in the same office, same donuts, same bagels, same pizza, same burritos coming in from vendors. On a restricted calorie diet, didn't touch anything. Don't even think about it.